دوستان عزیز درود بر شما و میریم سراغ ولفر. یه گروهی از افراد هستند در استرالیا که نیاز به کمک دارن. اون کمکی که به شما بهشون میکنی مالی قراره باشه، بهشون خونه میدی، پول غذاشونو میدی. یکی از این کارا قبلا 20 سال پیش همه اینا رو با هم میدادن، الان اوضاع خراب شده، یه قسمتشو میدن، یعنی یا خونه میدن یا پول غذا میدن. به این میگن اون ولفر، یعنی اون کمک بهش میگن ولفر. اوکی، مثلا به این آقای میگن keep working, millions on welfare depend on you. به کار کردن ادامه بده، میلیون ها نفر که تو ولفر هستن، یعنی آن ولفر میگن، به تو بستگی دارن. و میریم سراغ این ولفر مورالیتی. مورالیتی مو نیست، مورالیتی بین او ای بازم تلفظ میشه، شوا ساوند هستش. مورالیتی
Morality.
یه هم اخلاقیات رو بهش میگن مورالیتی. اوکی، پس welfare morality اون کمک های اخلاقی، حالا مثلا نمیدونم چطوری ترجمهش کنم، میگه the morality of the welfare state depends on contribution and responsibility. responsibility هم مسئولیت، contribution هم یعنی کمک هایی که میشه، یعنی هر کس چقدر contribute میکنه به اون کار. since some people don't contribute، میگه چون از اونجا که از اونجا که بعضی از مردم contribute نمیکنن، سهمی ندارن. contribute یعنی سهم داشتن، یادمون باشه contribute
Contribute.
در هستش. contribute بین شو ساند باز هم. and many are irresponsible، خیلی ها مثلا مسئولیتی ندارن، مثلا بی مسئولیتن، کلا یعنی بی خیالن دیگه. the choice of those who do contribute and are responsible، میگه انتخابای اونایی که سهم دارن و آدمای مسئولیت پذیری هستن are either تو جای خالی the free rider یعنی چی؟ یعنی کسایی که تو اقتصاد یعنی هیچ کاری نمیکنن، تو کشورهای ایران و اینا نیستن، البته تو اینجا هستش، البته تو ایران هم فکر کنم نمیشه گفت، ولی کسایی که کمیته امداد هستن یه کمکی بهشون دولت میکنه که هیچی نیست، البته میدونم، ولی اینجا مثلا کامل خونه رو بهش میدن، به اونا میگن فری رایدر. یعنی شما فرض کن، حالا چرا میگن فری رایدر، شما فرض کن توی اتوبوس هستی، یکی میاد از در پشتی سوار میشه، بلیط هم نمیده. خب شاید مثلا اصطلاحاً میگن یه کارتی داره، مثلا اون کارتش رو میزنه، پولی هم کم نمیشه، دولت بهش این چیزو داد، یا اصلا واقعا اصلا میپیچونه، یعنی اصلا جوونه ولی اصلا کارتو نمیزنه یا داخل اتوبوس، یعنی پول بلیط نمیده، و اونم میگن فری رایدر، یعنی مجانی سوار شده داخل اتوبوس. تو اقتصاد به این فری رایدر کسایی میگن که نه تکس میدن نه مالیات میدن، به اینا میگن فری رایدرز. اوکی، میگه این کسایی که مسئولیت پذیر هستن یا either حالا to جای خالی the free riders refuse to pay for the جای خالی of the responsibility or trust the state to جای خالی them. خب پس میگه که اینجا دو تا راه دارن، یا باید اینا رو چیکار کنن؟ تحمل کنن، tolerate، refuse to pay for the effects of، میگه اون اثراتی که این بیمسئولیتیشون داره رو باید مانع بشن، بخاطر پول بدن، یعنی پول تکس بدن بابت اثراتی که اون مسئولیت ناپذیری اون افراد داره. کسایی که مفتی میان، هیچ کاری نمیکنن، تکس نمیدن، تو خونه‌شون نشستن. or trust the state to educate them، یا باید به استیت، وقتی به استیت میگه منظورش استرالیا هستش، یعنی کشور استرالیا، چون قبلا استیت بوده دیگه، یا باید اطمینان کنم به استرالیا که اینا رو تعلیم بده. خب ولی خب یه ذره مسخره است این تکستش، خب اینا که اصلا تعلیم پذیر نباشن، ولی حالا میگه باید اطمینان کنن دیگه به این استیت. پس نگاه کنید تو استرالیا یه گروهی هستن مالیات میدن، کارگرن، چه میدونم توی شرکت ها کار، یه گروهی هستن هیچی مفت، هیچ کاری نمیکنن. اوکی، شاید این شرایط تو ایران زیاد قابل لمس نباشه، برای همین من بهتون اینطوری میگم. خب حالا میریم صحبت های دکتر ادم رو گوش میکنین. موفق باشید.
Okay, so they're thinking about the welfare system, that is the way that a government organizes resources to provide so that people don't die of starvation or go homeless. So we have a welfare system, and they talk about the welfare state. That is, a government and a state and all of its organizations are arranged around providing welfare for people to some extent. So that usually means that they have to tax resources and then use them. So what they're doing is they're taking that phenomenon of the welfare state, which is, partly like how we would describe Australia, partly. It's not very successful. They're talking about that in moral or ethical terms. So they're thinking about that situation from a moral perspective. That is, who's right and who's wrong in this situation. Has been a welfare state, but it's gradually being dismantled. It's been taken apart. So in the 1970s, if you were unemployed, you would be paid enough money that you could live a kind of ordinary life in a city like Sydney or Melbourne. You might have to live in a share house, or you might have to live in public housing, but you would be given enough unemployment so that you didn't starve, you could pay your bills. If you had children, you'd be paid more so that you could stay and look after them. So that's the welfare state functioning well.
But I think it's the same now. They will pay.
No. If you're on welfare now, if you're paid unemployment, it's not enough to survive. It's you get paid enough so that you can either pay your rent or pay for your food. You can't pay for either. And there are some allowances, and there is also public housing, but there's not enough public housing for everyone who needs it. So what we've seen over the last 30 or 40 years is a proper welfare state has gradually been transformed into one that's much more punitive and not very well resourced. Yeah.
And some people
don't contribute. So they're saying that the way this system works is people have to put their resources in collectively through taxation. But they're saying that some people don't contribute any tax. They don't contribute any resources to this this system, which is to be understood. That's understandable. Of course, some people can't work. They can't pay tax. So how could they contribute? But then it says many are irresponsible. So that suggests that some people choose not to contribute or choose not to take responsibility for their own actions. For example, they decide not to go and get a job, or they decide not to pay their bills, or they decide to be homeless. So they're saying that this is a moral situation. Some people are immoral or incapable of contributing, one or the other. Other people do contribute, are capable of contributing and meet their obligations. So those people have to decide how to act towards the people who don't. So they've referred to people who access welfare but don't pay into the system as free riders. So this is a heavily economistic. It's an idea from economics, but it's also coded with morality. They're running them together. They're suggesting that people who are disabled are getting something for free, but they're saying here, they're kind of saying that they're the same thing as people who choose not to work or choose not to contribute to the system. So
why they call it rider? They ride what?
It's an economic idea, and it comes from like, let's say you've got a bus, and everyone who gets onto the bus pays a small fare to use the bus, but someone sneaks on through the back door and rides for free. And you've got to decide how long you put up with that, and whether there's something that needs to be done to change that or not. It's a free rider problem. So whenever something is given out to anybody who comes, or could be acquired without any kind of barrier, there's this problem of the free rider. Will people take advantage of the system? I think that this is a really terrible piece of writing, because it's not looking clearly at what the system is really doing. It's treating it in simplistic moral terms. It's obviously a lot more complex than this anyway. And most people, even if they, like, who would want to be on welfare? Even if it paid enough, who would want to be? It's not enough to have a comfortable life and to fulfill your aims and to travel and all of those sorts of things. So it doesn't make any sense to me. So that's an example of people being irresponsible according to this formulation. We just say that that's immorality. They're taking something and they're also not contributing when they're supposed to. I just don't think there are that many people who do that for their whole lives. I think that there are people who will do that for a time, but you're basically constantly risking prosecution, and so they're saying that refusing to pay for the effects of their irresponsibility. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
If it were
Educating.
if it were really an issue of irresponsibility, I agree with you. The state can't fix
This
that.
issue, yeah, they can't do nothing. They said educate you, but I mean, they really, I mean, for example, set some courses or something to educate those people. Is it like that?
Maybe to give them skills so they can get jobs. I don't
Oh,
know. I don't know what they mean here, because again, they're running things together. They're saying that these people are irresponsible, but also that they don't contribute or they can't contribute. It's really unclear what the problem is.
yeah. Effects of their irresponsibility. This term.
Okay, so not, I mean, this phrase is used, but it's not a stock phrase. It's not a kind of phrase that's always used in this way.
It is not very common. Okay.
So what they're doing is they're picking up the idea from earlier. Many are irresponsible, and then they're talking about their irresponsibility. So it's a referentiality thing, and they're talking about what effects that irresponsibility has. So this could be rewritten using the word lack. Refuse to pay for their lack of responsibility, or refuse to pay for the effects of their irresponsibility. So either of those could work. So the word lack almost works here. We just need to change the
Responsibility, not irresponsibility. Okay.
Well, their lack of responsibility. That is, what they possess is a lack. Or you could say pay for their irresponsibility. You could just condense it. But I think what they're saying is that their irresponsibility doesn't have a direct cost or a direct effect. It has an indirect effect. If enough people do it, it gradually adds up to something bad.
Yeah, great.